know what you're getting out of Wes Anderson. At this point, if you don't, you haven't ever watched a Wes Anderson movie. That's for sure. Because you always are going to get that singular directorial imprint, right? Only one man can give you a film like this, like any number of films over his storied career. It's the same feel and look. You've got that aspect ratio, the color palette, the tracking shots, the pans, all of the way this thing is built from a technical level. Of course, I like that. That is where I love to be when I watch any film. But as Luis hinted to heading into this evaluation, there are a lot of problems here, okay? And it's typically a screenplay with this. Listen, at the end of the day, when you look at Wes Anderson, I think his strongest work is when you get to have him in little bits and chunks. I think one of his strongest films for me, certainly of the past 10 years, is French Dispatch. Why? Because you have those 3 stories and you've got the anthology, you got a little of everything going on there. That is why I like that more, because even if you don't love one of the stories, the next one might get you interested. By the way, if you want to rank those, number 1, first story in French Dispatch, best. Third story, number 2. And that middle story with Chalamet, by far the third, okay? This, you're stuck with one story. You're stuck here traveling the globe with Benicio del Toro and his maybe daughter, and she's fantastic, okay? Everybody here's really fun. I love the ensemble. You get Tom Hanks. You get Bryan Cranston. Of course, you get Bill Murray, Scarlett Johansson, Benedict Cumberbatch, on and on and on and on, okay? Del Toro is the lead, and he's throughout the entire film. But really, that is par for the course when you talk about Wes Anderson. You're always going to get that. Asteroid City had that, but what I liked about Asteroid City over this film is you had the alien angle, right? It just had a little bit more of a zany feel to it. This film feels a little bit more mean-spirited, right? It's not, for Wes Anderson, mean-spirited is not like Terrifier 3, okay? It's not that. We're going to torture a little kid in his bedroom. Not like that. But it just doesn't have that same kind of buoyant feel. And that, when it's lacking and you're watching this, that can grade on you and make this tough over the only 90-some minute runtime. But it's one of these films where on the back end, you really feel that last 15, 20 minutes. And I felt, like Luis mentioned, I was like, I need to get out of this theater, okay? That's not ever a good place to be. Of his recent films, if you were to ask me how to rank French Dispatch, and then Asteroid City, and now The Phoenician Scheme, I would put this very clear number 3, French Dispatch number 1, and Asteroid City closer to 1 at 2. This is a drop-off. This is something that I don't think I can even recommend unless you're a hardcore Wes Anderson fan. If you're into the technical, if you're into all the things I mentioned, the aspect ratio, and you're into the color palette and the tracking shots and cinematography and the edits, yeah, fine, right? That's all there. Then go for that. But just know that when you get to that hour mark, you're going to start to go wrap it up, and you still have 25 minutes, and it's going to be very painful. 65%, which is D+ for me. Not great. But, listen, I still would rather watch A Phoenician Scheme than something like Karate Kid's Legends, okay? Or Lilo and Stitch.